Hi friends, it's Will here, back with another tarot reading. And today the question we're going to address is how can you express your feelings to someone without feeling silly or foolish? I've chosen 3 stones here and pulled the major arcana from my deck. The stones are black agate, desert rose, and fluorite. I've shuffled the major arcana. I'm going to shuffle them here a little bit more so that you can see me doing it. And then I will deal out 1 card for each stone, and you will choose which one calls to you, which one is most interesting to you, or maybe just which one seems best to represent your current situation where there's something you're feeling, but you're not really sure how to say it to the other person, okay? So here are our cards. With the black agate, we have the Hermit. Are you feeling lonely? Are you feeling like you're searching for something and maybe you can find it in this other person? How do you say that to them? The Star. Are you feeling hopeful? Is there some truth that you want to express? You maybe want to pour yourself out generously to this other person. Do you feel like this other person is guiding you towards them or towards something? And finally, with the fluorite, ooh, card 13, death. Does it seem to you as though something is ending? There's a big transition that's about to happen, or a big transformation that is happening, and you need to find a way to express that. Maybe the relationship is over, and you know it, but haven't found a way to tell the other person yet. We can explore that when we get to your reading. So please choose the Hermit with the black agate, number 1, or the Star with the desert rose, number 2, or Death and the fluorite, number 3. And the timestamps are below, and I look forward to seeing you in your reading. Hello, Group 1, and welcome to your reading. You chose the black agate paired with the Hermit. I've been shuffling the deck, and I've got the whole deck here except for the Hermit card. I'll continue to shuffle now while we think about the question and its relationship to the card you chose as your significator. And then I'll lay out a spread of cards. Today I'm going to do a 5-card spread. We'll do a string of 3 cards, and then 1 above and 1 below to form a cross to help guide you towards what you should do and what you should not do in this situation. So you're feeling something for someone, and it could be any kind of feeling, like maybe it's a friend and you have a crush on them, or maybe it's a partner and there's something you've been feeling and haven't shared with them and it's pressing on you and you don't know how to express it. There's something you're trying to say, you feel like you need to express to someone and you're not sure how to do that. Now, because you chose the Hermit card, that makes me think, maybe you're feeling kind of lonely. Maybe you're searching for some enlightenment. I say enlightenment because, of course, the Hermit carries a lantern, as you all know. Do you see something perhaps in this other person, and it's something you've been looking for, and so you'd like to tell them that, but you don't know how? That's what I think of here. So let me just finish the shuffle. All right, there. Okay. All right. So I am going to place the Hermit in the center here. We're going to place cards over it so that it's not going to be read as part of the spread. It's the foundation underneath the entire spread. Okay. So why don't I do this? And then we'll pull 2 more cards in a moment to form a cross. So these cards are going to describe the current situation. And we're starting with 8 cups. So this means that there are maybe a lot of people involved in the situation. Like maybe it isn't just the 2 of you. This can also suggest moving away, right? Like to go with the fact that you chose the Hermit, it makes me wonder if what you're wondering is not so much that you're seeing something in this other person and you're trying to express to them that you're seeing like a light in them that you've been searching for, but rather you feel like you need to leave the situation because while it is stable, it is unfulfilling or not as fulfilling as it was at some point in the past. So, is there someone in your life that you feel like it's maybe time to move on from? That is what comes to mind with this 8 of Cups. But let's look at the other cards to give it context. Okay, well, the 3 of Batons confirms that idea because the 3 of Batons is about finding a new direction, finding a new path for yourself, taking action to begin to build a new thing in your life, right? That's the 3 of Batons. 8s are movement, and cups are emotions and relationships and feelings and what fulfills us. So, moving on to find a new direction. So, do you need to tell this person you feel like it's time to take a new path in your life and that may require you to move on from them? Maybe not permanently, right? But is this at least a temporary kind of solution? Sometimes people need to go away to appreciate what they had. They thought it was unfulfilling, but when they don't have it, they suddenly realize actually they really miss it. So maybe it's a question of needing perspective and needing to find a new place to move, literally or figuratively, in this situation. Oh boy, and then of course the Knight of Cups makes an appearance. Now the Knight of Cups, he is our knight in shining armor, romantic Galahad person. So, are you in a situation where you feel like you need more romance in your life? Like you need, whether it's in terms of relationships or not, like do you feel like you need to go away and search for your holy grail? Do you need to go on a quest to find something that will really fulfill you? Now, the thing to be careful of here when this card shows up is the Knight of Cups can be very romantic and that can be very attractive, but the Knight of Cups can also get stuck in a fantasy, get lost in a fantasy, and have trouble waking up from it to see what the reality of the situation really is. The Knight of Cups can be egotistical and self centered, and so that would be something to watch out for. Is the thing that you are having trouble with, trouble expressing to your person, whoever that person might be, are you sure that it's not something you're fantasizing about? Are you sure that it is grounded in reality? and that it's not an illusion. That would be the thing I would worry about, seeing these two cups cards on either side of the batons, right? I also think of the way that water and fire interact. We've got, this is 8 cups water, here's cups water, and then fire with the batons. So we've got an energy, we've got a spark, we've got a little fire going here, but it's surrounded by water. And so is your spark, is your energy going to go out because there's too much feeling, there's too much emotions, there's a fantasy of emotion happening here. So this is what I'm thinking of in terms of describing the situation, but now the question is, what are you actually supposed to do about it? So I'm going to place 2 more cards, one above, one below, to form a cross, and the card above will refer to what you should do, and the card below will indicate what you should not do. Okay, so above we have 9 coins. 9 coins. So this is about staying motivated. Okay, this is about making sure you can be independent and following your values, right? Investing in your own practical ability to get things done. I very much am thinking that these coins are going against these cups, the cups representing a possible fantasy, and the coins being very much rooted in the real world. So make sure that whatever new element you're adding to your situation, whatever you're going to say or bring up with this person, right, I think that's represented by this central coin. Make sure that it's practical, make sure that it's actionable, make sure that if you're expressing your feelings, you're doing it in a way that the other person is going to be able to value it, make sense of it, and take some action about it, as opposed to saying, oh, I just don't feel fulfilled and I want to go off on a wild goose chase somewhere, right? I think of the 9 of coins. If we think of the 8 of coins, we have a very organized set of coins, right? The 9 is adding a new element, which on the one hand can destabilize the whole thing, but sometimes that's also what allows it to grow, right? And so we can see the big flower up here, very big flower, and then the slightly smaller one down below that may be bearing fruit, it looks like. So add something new to the situation, but just make sure that it's like practical and grounded in reality as opposed to fantasy. And what you should not do is be a knight, be the knight here of batons. So don't be overly passionate, don't be reckless, be practical here when you're sharing whatever it is that you need to share with this person. Do it in a practical way. Don't be fiery. Don't get angry. Don't get defensive. Don't be reckless. Don't go too fast. Okay? Take it slow and easy. But maintain your motivation to express yourself in a way that the other person will be able to value it. Think about what they value in the real world and base what you're saying, what you're expressing to them on that. Okay? All right, I will go ahead and end the reading there. I hope that you enjoyed this spread and that it gave you some perspective. And if you enjoyed this, I would greatly appreciate a like and a subscribe. Tell me in the comments what you thought about it, what resonated, or if you had a different interpretation than I saw here. Thank you so much, and have a great day. I'll see you in your next reading. Hello, Group 2, and welcome to your reading. You chose the Desert Rose and the Star. So I have been shuffling the deck I'm going to continue shuffling now while I think about the question and I think about the card you chose as your significator. And then we'll do a reading. I'm going to use a 5-card spread today. First, I'll lay out 3 cards, a string of 3, to describe the situation. And then I'll place one above the center card and one below to give you a sense of what you should do and what you should not do in this situation, and that will form a cross. So the question is, you have something you want to express to someone and you don't know how to do it. You don't want to look like a fool. You don't want to seem silly. You don't want to be bumbling about, but you've got something that needs to be communicated about your feelings, and you want to know how to do it. Because you have chosen the star card, it makes me think that maybe you see this other person as something like a bright, hopeful spark on the horizon. Something that could give you something beautiful and great in your life. And maybe you want to tell them that, right? Like maybe you're feeling really guided. If you think of the way the North Star guides people towards what they need to help them find direction in their life, maybe you feel guided by this person or towards this person, and like you want to express that in some way to them. You're feeling hopeful. You feel like there's some truth that they should know. And how are you going to tell them? Okay, so those are shuffled enough. Let's cut the deck. And I'm going to place the significator here in the center. We'll lay these down. And once we read these, we'll place the next 2. So, your first card is the Hanged One. So maybe this person has turned your world upside down. Maybe you're feeling like stuck because this person is doing something to you in I hope a good way, right? Like you thought the world was a certain way, and then this person enters your life and you're like, "Oh, what? Everything is actually like that?" This person's giving you a totally new perspective on life. And that might be kind of scary, right? You might feel like uncomfortable. This can't be a comfortable position for this person to be in. But at the same time, you might be really intrigued. Like, wait, what? What am I actually seeing? One other note about this is you might feel like you're having to sacrifice something. Like maybe you have a sense that you need to find the courage to truly be yourself around this person, and that is difficult, and you feel like it's a big sacrifice you have to make. This person is sort of putting you out of your element, but I think in a good way. I say that as the Fool comes up. Well, the Fool can be good, right? And often is. But the Fool can get themselves into trouble at the same time because the Fool doesn't know what they're doing. The Fool is bumbling about. The Fool could be falling off a cliff. The Fool could fall down and hurt themselves. The Fool belongs and doesn't belong. The Fool is free, but maybe too free. So you might feel foolish around this person. You feel upside down and foolish around this person, right? Because I mean, I'm suspecting this is because you're feeling like you've got a big crush. You're feeling giddy, or like you just don't know how to behave around this person because they are turning your world upside down. That's really kind of adorable, I think, to see. Okay, and then we've got some swords. Now, the 7 of Swords has a range of possible meanings, so let me explain them to you. You think for yourself what it could be. Okay, so this is sometimes known as the card of tears, so it can represent tears. Maybe there's some crying that has happened because of this situation. It can represent being focused, like a really sharp focus on something. So, do you find that you are not able to focus on anything except for this person and how you feel about them? And a third meaning would be deception. Is there any kind of deception happening? Are you not being totally honest with this person, or do you suspect that they are deceiving you about something? And then a final meaning that I'll throw in here is this. I interpret this as the card of someone. Another meaning here would be, I interpret this as the card of someone who knows how to be their own wild and crazy weirdo self and is unafraid of it, very much like the hanged one here. So can you move forward to a place where you're not upside down being yourself, but you can be comfortable being a little foolish and express your own weird craziness that this other person might actually find very endearing? Okay, so this, I hope, describes the situation. I'm going to pull two more cards. One we'll put up top. Okay, the Three of Cups, growing a relationship. Three is growth, cups are relationships. So this is saying what you should do is try to begin at least a friendship with this person if you're not already friends with them, but grow the relationship. If you are friends, I'd say, consider deepening it in some way. But what you should not do are 10 coins. 10, right? Yes, 10 coins. So what you should not do is aim to have a very long-term practical legacy with this person. So these together are saying start something, and sure, be hopeful, right? You chose the star after all. So be hopeful, but um, go into this with hopes, but no expectations that it's necessarily going to last forever, right? That it's going to leave a legacy behind. Um, maybe it would, right? But the card is saying don't go into it with that expectation. Even if it's a glimmer of hope you have somewhere, what you should really be focusing on now is just saying how you really feel. Um, in a slight, subtle way to slowly grow, deepen the relationship, and really just try to be yourself, okay? As weird as you might think that self is, maybe your person can find that endearing. Maybe your person can like the weird side of you that maybe you feel like you could get punished for in some circumstances, or that makes you look like a total fool in others. Focus on it, and it might hurt a little at first to really be yourself. Other people aren't going to get it. That's the thing. Some people just aren't going to get you, okay? But you have to be who you are anyways, right? Hiding who you really are isn't going to, like, if people like you because you're not actually you, then do they like you? No, of course not, right? So be who you really are in order to gently grow the relationship, deepen it. Okay, I'll stop there. I hope that you got something out of this reading. I hope that it gives you a new perspective on things, makes you think a little bit, gives you some ideas. If you enjoyed this, I would very much appreciate a like and subscribe. Tell me in the comments what resonated for you, or if you had a different interpretation of one of these cards or a set of them. I'd love to hear about that too. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I will see you in your next reading. Hello, Group 3. Welcome to your reading. You chose the Fluorite paired with the 13th card of the Major Arcana, often known as Death. So I've shuffled the deck. I have the whole deck here, except for the Death card pulled out. I'm going to continue shuffling here so that you can see me doing it. And I'm going to think about the question and think about the card you chose as your significator and the relationship between those two things. I'm going to use a 5-card spread today. The first 3 cards that I lay out, I'll do in a horizontal line, and they will describe the situation. Once we have described the situation, I'll lay out 2 more cards, one above the center card and one below, and we'll use these to indicate what you should do and what you should not do as you try to navigate the situation. So the question, of course, that we're working with is how can you express your feelings to someone? There's something you feel like you need to communicate to this other person, whoever they might be, and you want to know how to do that. How can you do that? So because you've chosen death as your significator, I think of endings, right? Is there an end to the relationship that needs to happen, like a breakup? Is someone ready to move on? Do you feel like you need to cut someone out of your life? It can also be, if not so grand as death or a big transformation of some kind, it might just be that it's time for a transition of some kind. And maybe that's what you need to talk to this other person about. Like, have you been doing things a certain way, the two of you together, and you feel like it's just not really working anymore, and it's time to transition to a new phase or stage or period of your relationship together, okay? So those are the initial thoughts that I have when thinking about the death card in relation to this question. So let's cut the cards. And I will lay out 3. We'll just place one over the significator. All right, and then I'll come back once we've described the situation and place one above and below to form a cross and get a sense of what you should and should not do in this situation. So we're starting with the Ace of Coins. We're starting with potential and a new beginning, something valuable. So maybe you see a lot of potential and value in the relationship with this person, or maybe you did. It's the furthest card to the left, so maybe it's happening in the past. Let's go ahead and flip another card because it's tough to read an ace on its own if we don't have any context to go with. But this helps. So 10 batons. So this is a very quick progression. It couldn't be faster from 1 to 10, right? Like from 0 to 60. It's going very quickly. So has this relationship moved too fast? You saw a lot of valuable potential in it, but now it's just burning up, right? There's batons are fire energy. And so we've got more batons than we could have on any other card, right? 10 is the absolute most. And so, there are 2 ways I can read this. So let me describe both of them, and then you decide which one matches for you. One, if we're thinking of the death card as a transition from one period to the next, maybe you saw lots of potential, and now it's time to sort of seal the deal and let's be loyal together. Okay, because I do read the 10 of batons in terms of loyalty. If you think of all of the interweaving that is happening, these batons are very closely interwoven, right, with each other, like long term. Let's nail it down. And we've got these 2 batons in the center, almost like 2 people, 2 figures, close together, knitted together with one another. And so that would be one way of reading this combination with the death card as the significator. But another way of reading it would be that the 10 is too much. It's too passionate. It's too hot and it's burning out, right? Like, are y'all fighting a lot? That would be something to consider. Is there a lot of anger happening and it's just gone so quickly that you're like, no, we need to put an end to this? So I think either of those is possible, depending on your own particular circumstance. Let's flip the third card over and see what it gives us. So, the Hierophant, also known as the Pope in this deck. So this, I would read this as the two of you, these figures down here, right? This could again go two different ways. One is you need to seek counsel or advice from someone. You have something to learn, the two of you. If your relationship has moved too quickly and it's too passionate, you're fighting, you're arguing, it's like always at a 10 and it's gotten there very quickly, maybe you need to seek counsel or advice from someone. Otherwise, the whole thing's going to end, right? And so maybe what you need to tell this other person is, hey, I think we need to get help, right? Like this can't continue the way that it's continuing. Would it be possible for us to see someone together, to talk to someone, like a counselor, a therapist, a wise family member or friend, something like that, who could help sort of mediate between the two of you? Another way of reading this, and you know your circumstances better than I do, but another way of reading this is there's a lot of valuable potential in this relationship, which has turned into great loyalty, and now it needs to be solemnized. And so I would maybe read this as a wedding, right? As someone who is bringing these two people together to formally say they are going to be in a long-term relationship. And so, weirdly, I would almost say like the death card could be indicating the end of your lives as single people, right? The death of singleness. I wouldn't normally read this card that way. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat it or anything, but coming up with these cards, I do think that that is one appropriate interpretation for them. A great transition as opposed to the end of something. It's the end of singleness, but it's the beginning then of your life together. I'm going to lay out two more cards. The card above indicates what you should do. Ooh, okay, what you should do in this situation. Well, there goes my idea of wedding bells, because this says go off on your own, right? The hermit seeks alone. They may be seeking for someone else to help guide them, right? Using their lantern to find a path, to find someone, again, who can offer counsel or advice, but now they're doing it alone. They're not doing it with someone else. This is a very lonely figure, the hermit, right? So, I kind of want to revise my earlier statement about, I think that this is leaning more towards the idea that there was valuable potential in the relationship, but it's too much, too passionate, too much, too quick. And so seeking counsel from someone wise, both of these cards would indicate seeking someone else who can offer help, right? Searching for help, looking for counsel and advice. What you should not do is 6 batons, so more fire. You shouldn't work together, collaborate to throw more wood on the fire, so to speak. Don't escalate the situation. Now is not the time to throw more logs on the fire. Now is not the time to let it keep burning. You need to go out and search for someone else who can help you to resolve the issues that you're dealing with. This could also indicate, you chose death, right? So maybe it's time to cut out the fire, right? And seek out things a little more on your own. Okay, I will end the reading there. If you got something out of this, if it gave you a different perspective, if it made you think differently about your situation, then I feel like this was a success. Please consider liking and subscribing. And if you did get something out of this, consider commenting, letting me know what resonated with you. And if you had a different interpretation of any of the cards or card combinations or the spread as a whole, I'd love to hear that in the comments. Please let me know. All right, I'll end it there. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in your next reading.